All right, peace, y'all. Back out in the China shop. It's November 9, 10. November 10. November 10, Sunday. It's almost time for evening church. I got about another hour. I don't know if you see these terrible hands. Let me hang on. Mess. We got this thing all stripped down. Got our tubes from Margay marked, re-notched, and welded on. I used the MIG welder to spot and then TIG welded. But for some reason, everything was good and clean, man. But I don't know if it's the gas. The gas is different. MIG to TIG is mix, and it's whatever. You start from that tack and start welding, and that tack it looks like the moon. A lot of porosity, a lot of little air bubbles. And Richard says you need to grind it all out of there and go over. Well, I just kept working on it until it was filled up. So some of it looks fantastic. Some of it, like here, when I had a problem on both of them, right in this tight area, probably a lot of gas when I tried to get the MIG in here to put the spot. So a lot of gas. But both of those two spots gave me a little trouble. But other than that, the welds turned out really nice. Let's see if I can flip this thing over for you. Here's your welding tip of the day. If you don't weld every day, I mean, I didn't need to practice. I know how to weld. I know what I'm looking at. I know what I'm doing. But if you don't practice and you don't do it every day, and you're not confident in your skill, always do the bottom first. Because by the time you get done with 4 tubes going halfway around, you kind of, by the second or third one, you kind of got a handle on it. The bottom obviously looks much, much better than the top. But again, as long as it doesn't look like booger snot, it really doesn't matter what it looks like. Because there are some, on the internet, you see some really pretty, beautiful welds that probably aren't very strong at all. So it can be misleading. But that's your welding tip of the day. If you got to do top and bottom, tack it up and do the bottom first, so you're in tune when it comes to doing the top. This thing is filthy. A lot of stuff wouldn't come off. This side, for instance, had the correct CRG pills. These two and this one, the bottom, I don't know if he lost it or what, but it had, instead of having a 4-position pill that was marked 0, 1, 2, 3, it was a 2-position, and it wasn't marked at all. So I suppose it doesn't really much matter as long as the tires are straight up and down and they're wearing correctly. But we'll get that fixed up. If I got to buy a whole new set of CRG pills, then I will, just to make sure I've got, top and bottom right, top and bottom left correct, because they are right and left hand specific, top and bottom. So you got to make sure. I got to go in and look at my notes again. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm doing, especially since we just sent the Blue Demon out to get straightened up with new spindles on it. We had it set up neutral, which I think was 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, position 2 to the inside where the screw goes in. But I believe on the top, the number 1 position should be forward, and on the bottom, the number 3 position should be forward. Got to go look at the notes though. Just don't quote me. But this wasn't right at all. None of it was right. One of them was at 2 and one of them was on 0. So I don't know if this thing's going to need tweaking or not. We ain't going to spend a lot of time working on this. Thing's butched. It's beat. It's been 2 years I've had this go-kart, and we did a lot of work on the motor mount, filling in those tubes where they were crushed from the motor mount being over tightened. But I couldn't get the steering shaft out of it. It was locked into the bearing. I did finally get it out and got the bearing out pretty easy. But the end of the steering shaft is now the bolt part. I used a brass hammer too, but it got peened over pretty good. when it finally got out of there. I had to use a punch to get it the rest of the way out. So it's probably never been out of there. And of course I looked at the steering shaft and it has, it's got vice grip marks on it, man. If you can see that or not. But there's vice grip marks all around it here. So you know what? We'll probably just end up replacing this. We do have the one that came out of the Blue Demon. We replaced that one with the one Joe Wallace hooked us up with because the arms were not in the correct position from the bottom. They were too low. So we'll see. It's up there. We'll dig it up and bring it down. I got another one. I think it was a... I better not quote myself. I thought it was... I thought it might have been a Tony Kart. I'm not sure, but there's the shaft up there with the butterfly, red anodized shift lever and all that stuff for the DD2. I bought all that, the pedals, the steering shaft, the shifter, and all that stuff for the Emic project, right? But so we'll check it out. There's at least 2 steering shafts here that we have to choose from that are in better shape than this one. And I didn't like the idea when I got the steering wheel hub off. This one's got a bunch of holes drilled in it already too, and that's not good either. So we're not going to go 10 cents and be buying all brand new stuff. We'll just find good used stuff that fits that we've got here. We got a bunch of parts and we'll get it squared up. This is all the stuff from it. Let me see if I can get you one of these bad boys. Just slide on here real nice. We had them all clamped in place, and you can see it just slides right in. Right? That's how you want it, baby. You want it nice. Slides in. Come on now. Slides in and slides out real easy. Right? So, looks good. That turned out really well. We are probably going to have to adjust these. I think what I'm going to end up doing is just cutting it right off. Bending a new piece that's a little longer. This end is longer. And then either spot weld and drill a couple holes and spot weld through here to the new L shape, because it needs to go down. As you can see, this one is much lower than the top of the tube. This one here is a lot closer. That's just how they fit. That's just how it wanted to go on. So they are the same on both sides. So the pods will end up doing a wheelie, right? And I know what Ben's thinking right now. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Yeah, well, it does in China land, buddy. Everything's about how it looks. It's got to look toot sweet. It's got to look good. It's got to look straight, right, and proper. There's so many of these cookie cutter CIK go-karts out there, and everybody says, oh, they all look the same. You know what? You can tell the ones that have been roughed up because the pods they're not level with the ground, parallel with the ground, and they have to have the same gaps. And hey, man. That's the RPM way. I'm sorry, but these things are not going to just get tossed back together and thrown on a racetrack, even if it's a track day. They're going to look right. They're going to look right, and then we'll work on the mechanical part, right? They're going to look good, and they're going to be safe and have, good parts and pieces and good hardware and stuff like that, right? We'll spend money on hardware. But I had thought I could get this thing tore down and remove all this yellow crap today. It took almost 3.5 hours to get everything off this thing, man. What a mess. I mean, like I said, everything is just filthy. So, we'll give it a good cleaning first before we go running the scotchy pad over it, right? Because it takes this stuff right off. But we don't want to be running that oil right into the metal. So we'll clean it as best we can first, and then we'll start tomorrow. And do a little each day. I mean, if this takes as long as taking it apart did, I can see that this is going to be a long project. Maybe I'm better off just taking it over, paying the $300, right? And have it blasted and powder coated. That way the color's done and everything, and I ain't got to do no cleaner or nothing. I don't know if they'd like me bringing it in this condition, though. But, hey, that's where we're at. So, just wanted to give you an update. This is the CIK project, the Ren Speed. I know it's been a long time. We started this thing, I think we bought it from Larry. I think it was July, this July. It was 2 years ago. So yeah, got to get after it, man. Got to get after it. So we had a good day today. We're going to go in and hang out with some church family and do some more church online. And then we're going to take a bath, get in some comfortable jammies, and we're going to watch our Lions tear it up down there in Houston. Godspeed, God bless. Hang in there, y'all. It'll get better. It already is.